Obviously, when you talk about a profit, whether way back when, in olden days, shall we say, or let's just say some of these Vegas guys putting a point spread up there, you're looking at, looking ahead into the future, at least in this case when it comes to college football. At least for our case, it'll be the near future, very near future when it comes to tomorrow's slate of games in the Southeastern Conference and around college football nationally for some of the bigger contests around our beloved sport. And we're going to take a bit of a trip closer to home when it comes to the Southeastern Conference to kick off our maiden voyage, speaking of which, like Missouri will take to Tuscaloosa later today for tomorrow's matchup. So, first one, ESPN 7-point favorite for the Florida Gators at Vanderbilt.
I think they talk about trap games. This could potentially be a trap game for Florida, but it looked like Mullins has his guys moving in the right direction. They were able to put together back-to-back good games with the big win over Mississippi State where they barely got out, and they just kept playing physically against LSU and was able to finally take the lead. So I'm going to say that they more than cover. I'd take the Florida Gators.
All right. Definitely close to home, about 2.5 hours or so from Tuscaloosa, down at Jordan-Hare Stadium. 11 o'clock, SEC Network, 15.5-point favorite are the Auburn Tigers hosting the Tennessee Volunteers.
I'm going to go with the Auburn Tigers, get back on the winning track, winning ways in the SEC as they take on a very woefully undermanned Tennessee team. Look for Tennessee, though, to at least have hopefully a little bit of success defensively. But I just think that offensively, that front line of Auburn is going to destroy the Tennessee offensive front. They just don't have any offensive firepower. Neither one is playing great on offense, but at least Auburn has weapons, James, and I think they'll get some of those guys loose. So I'm going to take the Auburn Tigers over the Tennessee Volunteers.
The Texas A&M Aggies, number 22 in America at 4-2 overall, 2-1 in the SEC, travel to Columbia, South Carolina to face the South Carolina Gamecocks. SEC Network, 2:30 kickoff as the Aggies, a 2.5-point road favorite.
Oh, that pretty much means that it's a wash, almost a wash when you give the Aggies 2.5. You're saying they're somewhere between 3 to 6 points, almost a touchdown favorite. South Carolina would, I guess, have to be one of the disappointing stories of this year because this was the year that Muschamp was supposed to have them ready to play, ready to compete against Georgia, and I think their woeful season continues. Jimbo Fisher is not one of my favorite coaches, but he has that Texas A&M defense playing extremely well. Offense is pretty good, so look for the Aggies to go up and take care of the Gamecocks.
Also, a 2:30 kickoff down in Red Stick in Baton Rouge. The CBS SEC Game of the Week, number 2 Georgia is a 7-point favorite at number 13 LSU.
Well, if I'm going to call myself the prophet, I have to be able to see things that other people can't see, right? I mean,
correct.
And so Georgia is picked to win this game by they're what, 7.5 points,
full touchdown favorite.
Is this the game where the youth of Georgia finally shows up? No. If Burrows was a little bit better passer, I think I would go with LSU in this game because I think Georgia is still waiting to be exposed. Nick Saban kind of threw shade early in the week when he said Missouri could be 5-0. And I thought, ooh, Georgia's on that schedule. He said easily could be 5-0. Well, he came back last night, James, and explained what he meant by that, talking about those non-offensive touchdowns that Mizzou gave up and how close that game would have been, some of the success they had against Georgia. But I just don't think that – I think a Drew Lock LSU team beats Georgia. I'm going to still go with Georgia. The game could be close, but if LSU starts to fall behind, we'll see what type of growth Orgeron is made, it could get ugly if they don't keep it close until the fourth quarter.
And then we'll save Missouri and Bama for the end of the show as far as our picks. But Ole Miss and Arkansas also an evening game, 6:30 kickoff from Fayetteville. Check that from Central Arkansas at War Memorial Stadium in Little Rock as Mississippi, the Ole Miss Rebels, a 7-point road favorite in Little Rock against Arkansas.
Which Arkansas team's going to show up? The one who played against Alabama or the one who played against Auburn offensively? If that Ole Miss team, Arkansas team that showed up last week shows up, the Razorbacks, both of these teams are fighting for probably their only SEC win of the year. And I say Arkansas gets the win, give them the home turf, home state advantage. Arkansas over Ole Miss. Ole Miss, it may be 100 to 99, but I think Arkansas gets the win.
And then going out of league, up I-22 to Memphis when it comes to a 2:30 kickoff from the Liberty Bowl. ABC/ESPN2, depending where you're watching it from, kickoff. Number 10 UCF at Memphis.
Well, UCF, you have to give it to them. You can't take anything away from them. They've won 18 in a row. At their level, they've been as good as anyone. And when they've stepped up against Auburn, even though it was a bowl game, and then against Pitt this year, they've annihilated, played really well against Auburn and annihilated Pitt. And they've won 18 in a row, and I think it becomes 19 in a row. Mackenzie Milton, the quarterback, at UCF right now averaging 300 passing yards per game. They're averaging 200. Listen to this, James, 269.4 rushing yards a game. So this is a complete team, but neither one of them plays run defense. That's why UCF is not ready to run through a regular season with the big boys. They give up almost 200 yards a game rushing every week. That's why, and teams are chasing them, which means they're not throwing the ball as much as they normally would. So UCF wins this one, keeps their streak going, and very well may end up the season undefeated again with 24 straight wins. UCF over Memphis.
And then this could possibly be the most intriguing matchup nationally tomorrow. ABC Game of the Week, 6:30 kickoff from the Big House at Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor as the Wolverines, a 9.5-point favorite, ranked 12th in the country, hosting number 15 Wisconsin.
I just can't buy Jim Harbaugh. I try. Shea Patterson corrected himself after the first game of not throwing a score and having an interception in the opener against Notre Dame. That game now looks like a much better loss than what it was, James, because Notre Dame is still undefeated. So maybe Michigan is better than we initially thought after week one. Wisconsin, weird loss to BYU. Just can't explain it. Wow. Thanks, James. This is a tough one. Michigan definitely doesn't cover, but I'm going to give them the home field advantage in a close one over Wisconsin. But it won't be disappointed at all if Wisconsin, Jonathan Taylor, and Alex Hornibrook go in and take care of Michigan. Jim Harbaugh, the first or second highest paid, overpaid coach in college football, and I'll let you all guess who the other guy is in that conversation as far as being overpaid. Hey, that was a Prophet's Take where we run through the SEC and around the country in terms of picking games.